This conference will now be recorded.
The early bird gets the worm. Hello. Um, I hope that everyone is well. Um, we have just a couple minutes and we'll get started, okay?
All right.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you all?
Good. How are you?
Well, that's Jorge?
I'm sorry.
Jorge, sí, ven.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey. Um, Elena, Elena, you can stay on, but Jorge is new but returning, so I think that you'll probably know all of this information. But you're welcome to stay. But you don't have to be here since you've done it before.
Que no era para mí hoy. No, I will go. I will stay tomorrow. So,
Okay. All
okay.
right.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye bye.
Hi.
This conference will now be recorded.
It's 5:32. We're recording this session just so that we can share it with families that aren't able to attend this evening. Welcome to the 2025-26 academic year. We began hosting these webinars about 3 years ago, just as an opportunity for parents to hear from some administrators from the school, to be able to ask questions before your sons start arriving. And it's helpful to see other parents, um, to be able to ask those questions and have a sense of relief and some ease, because this is a big transition for everyone. Last night we met with students, and the students got to meet with some student leaders, so they have a face and a name and a connection before they arrive. And we hope that that's the same for parents. We have, I just wanted to see if Whitney is here or not yet. I'm Angela Jackson Mapetla, and I work in the admissions team. I've met some of you when you came for tours with your son, or I've met you if you're an international family. We may have met in a Zoom box, just like we're doing this evening. I work with Mr. Miller, and with Coach Moss and Miss Jim Rosick, to make sure that you guys are all together on the admissions process. We start with the Res Life webinar first, because I think that that's the one that most people are most anxious about or have the most questions about. Where's he living? What do I need to bring? How's it going to work? Who's going to do this? And once you kind of feel an ease about that, then you're like, oh yes, how's he learning? And what's he going to do after that? So there's some method to how the sessions are put together. I know that many people have questions, and Mr. Meredith will speak, and then we'll have a Q&A time. You can put your questions in the chat box as well, so that we will be able to get to them. From people who are starting, who are just joining on, just please make sure to put your name, your son's name, his grade, and where you guys are from, and that will be helpful for us as well. So without further ado, and we will respect your time, because we know that everyone is, it's busy, and some people are calling in from lots of places that are on a different time zone, so it might be early in the morning or late at night. Without further ado, I will introduce Rich Meredith. Rich is our director of Res Life. He also teaches economics, our entrepreneur class, some math classes. This is Rich's second year here, and he's worked with students. And before coming here, he has a very interesting background, and so I'm sure he'll talk to you about that if you want to hear more about that. Rich has two small children, and he lives as the director of Res Life. He also lives and is a hall parent. So he's living in the dorm, he's living with the boys. He's boots on the ground. I don't think he has his fan, but maybe where's your fan at, Rich? His son usually plays a drum, so to wake guys up. But we will let Rich share about Res Life in the space that your son will be living in, and what we do to make sure that everybody is in a safe and great space. Room assignments will happen when you guys arrive for registration.
Thanks, Angela. I actually have a list of things I wanted to cover to include my personal intro, and you basically did it for me, so I appreciate that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know folks are calling in from all over the world. Thanks for taking a minute to put your name, your son's name, his grade, and from where you're calling in the chat window. That helps us immensely as we start this conversation. As Angela said, tonight is a 1-hour webinar, and if folks want to stick around because there are continued questions, I'm happy to stick around. Tonight's focus is on residence life. In the past, we found that I can speak for as long as I want about res life, but what's really important are the questions. I'm sure you all have a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly cover what res life is all about. And then I'm going to discuss a handful of hot button topics that typically pop up in these webinars, just to go over kind of the basics. And then if you want to stay on that topic, we can certainly do that, or we can move on, and then we can kind of take any questions either from the chat box. Angela will field those to me, or if you'd like to speak, just turn off your microphone and speak away. Feel free to interrupt me as well as we begin. So like Angela said, everybody, and I'll put myself, and I'll even put Angela in this boat, everybody on this call, we're all about, in a really good way, we're all about to go through a number of changes. Your Blue Ridge boy, and I use the term Blue Ridge boy purposefully because I imagine most of you are sending your sons here, but I also recognize we have grandparents, we have aunts and uncles, we have caregivers who send their boys to Blue Ridge. So I may use sons, but I try to use boys just to acknowledge that. Blue Ridge boys are certainly experiencing significant change. Many are attending high school for the first time. We know that high school is markedly different in terms of academic rigor and expectations from middle school. It's a new school. It's probably a fairly significantly new geographic location, new culture, and perhaps above all else, a new living arrangement. And I think it's also really worth taking a minute to recognize that you all as parents or caregivers are also experiencing significant change. Maybe some of you are ready to get him out of the house yesterday, but you will miss him, I promise. And it is a change to send him to boarding school. And like Angela said, the most anxiety tends to center on residence life and the living situation because you want your son to be comfortable, and we, of course, do the best to make sure we can support you and support him as he works to do that. But the point of tonight's call is to cover those residence life items so that when he gets here, he's ready to focus on academics and athletics and other pursuits. So I like to split residence life really into two categories. The first category is what I would basically call the daily, weekly, monthly routines, processes, procedures, the things that guide how we live communally on this campus. It's a little over 180 boys. 80% of the faculty live on campus. Significant portion of the faculty, to include myself, we have families with children. So how we kind of all do that together. That's the first kind of category where I would place residence life. The second, and I won't spend too much time on this tonight, I will speak to this typically during our fall parents weekend. And if you can't attend that, we record it, it's uploaded, so you can watch that as well. The other kind of bucket for residence life centers on what's called the residence life curriculum. And that's really the hard and soft knowledge, skills, and abilities that your son needs to be successful in life when he leaves the Blue Ridge bubble. And these are items that he wouldn't necessarily learn in the classroom or maybe on the athletic field, but they're things that he needs to know to be successful. So on the soft skills side, it would be things like communication and conflict resolution skills. Hard skills, we teach Blue Ridge boys everything from, of course, how to clean their rooms and how to do communal activities like mop the floors and take out each other's trash, to we teach boys how to jump a car and how to cook a meal and how to shake someone's hand properly, like all those things that kind of wrap up into creating a young man who's ready for what's next when he leaves here. So like I said, that's not the focus tonight. I'm happy to talk about any of those things. But the focus really for tonight, for the most part, is what do we need to do so that your son is ready to move in on day one. I'm going to take a minute to talk a little bit about our dorm structure, our hall structure, and then I'll go into those kind of topics that tend to pop up each year. Okay, so your son will live on a hall. Most halls are in what's called Walsh dorm. Walsh is 9th through 11th grade. I didn't see any 12th graders in the chat function, but 12th graders live in a dorm adjacent to Walsh called Booker. So I think everyone on this call will live in Walsh. 9th and new 10th graders live in one of two halls, Middle West and Middle North. The remaining halls are for returning 10th and then all 11th graders. Each hall has a hall parent who lives on the hall. So I'm the hall, in addition to being the residence life director, which means I'm responsible for everything that goes on in dorms. I myself am also a hall parent. So I'm the hall parent for Middle West. Middle West is mostly a 9th grader and new 10th grader hall. So if your boy is in the 9th grade or he's a new 10th grader, there's a significant chance I'll be his hall parent. Hall parents act in loco parentis, which means we act in place of parents when a parent is not there. So as a hall parent, it's my job. Gosh, I wake the boys up, make sure they're in dress code, make sure they go to breakfast. I'm happy to talk about our cell phone policy. They turn in their cell phones for the academic day. Make sure they get to their first appointment of the day, which is usually a morning assembly or a chapel service or a hall meeting. I inspect their rooms to make sure they're neat and clean, and I help to ensure that they're studying at night during study hall, depending on where they study. And then overall, my job is to help build and sustain a sense of camaraderie amongst the hall. My job is to help solve problems, guide the young men on my hall, and then also teach them the residence life curriculum, that second bucket that I talked about previously. So every hall has a hall parent. And then for everyone, I think I saw a few new 11th graders. So this might not be the case for some of the new 11th graders. But all halls have at least one student leader. They all have at least a senior prefect. We have 10 prefects. These are young men who applied for and were elected by their peers and faculty members to serve as student leaders. In essence, these guys help run the school. Each prefect is on a hall, and when the hall parent is not there, the prefect is essentially in charge. These guys have the skills to lead the hall, and I'm excited about our crop of prefects this year. Your son will be able to go to his prefect for anything, to help solve a simple problem or find guidance for a more complex issue. Prefects are consiglieres, they're confidants, they're a shoulder to lean on if a girl breaks up with a boy on the hall, and you know the prefect relationship between the guys on his hall is very special. And then below the prefect, we then have two proctors on the hall. These are two junior student leaders who, again, applied for the position and were selected by their peers and by faculty members. In essence, proctors are learning how to be prefects. They work for the prefect and the hall parent, and every hall is a little different. For my hall, my proctors help to manage the like hall cleanliness and some of the chores that each room will, on a rotational basis, have to do throughout the month as part of our communal standards. If the prefect is not there and the hall parent's not there, then the proctor is in charge. So that's kind of our structure. Halls range in size from 14 boys to 26 boys, just depending on where they're placed. Are there any specific questions about hall structure before I move on?
There is a question about what grade prefects are.
Prefects are seniors. So these are all young men who at the end of their junior year applied for the position, and they're all seniors. Proctors are all juniors.
So senior would be grade 11 and seniors would be grade 12, sorry, and juniors are grade 11. Just because we have families from 6 countries and representing 5 states, so just to make sure.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to touch on a couple topics that tend to pop up on this call. Jump in, and Angela, jump in if it makes sense. And then after that, I'll answer questions and open up the floor. Okay, so first, the room. I'm not sure if you all have had a chance to see the student parent handbook. There's kind of a list of things that are required to bring, and then there are a list of things that are optional. As you all think through what you're going to bring for your Blue Ridge Boys room, I want you to remember and continually consider this fact. Your boys' room is 180 square feet. For our friends who are more logically inclined when it comes to measurement, that's 17 square meters. Okay. It's not big. They share that room with another student, so they get half of that space. And there's a lot in that room. Two beds, a dresser, wall lockers, 2 desks. So while our
And 2 chairs.
and 2 chairs, yes. And I'm gonna
Is
get
it just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Is it just one dresser?
there's one dresser with 2 drawers, and they each get two of the four. Excuse me,
Okay.
there's one dresser with 4 drawers, and they each get two.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the wall lockers are quite large, Miss Reed. So most boys end up using the wall lockers to store most of their clothes. So as you look through those kind of optional items, particularly for new boys, particularly for 9th and 10th grade boys, my recommendation is always to keep it simple. Okay. While you're allowed to bring them, and while I know you want your son to be comfortable, I highly recommend against bean bags or a small rug or anything that, like, the simpler the better for new boys, because they have to learn, one, how to share their space, two, how to organize their space, their personal space, and then how to continually clean and maintain their space. I would refrain from sending a lot of little collectibles and tchotchkes to go on their desk. I know you want them to have, and they probably want to have things to remember their friends and family at home. Pictures are great, but I would advise against, like, figurines and statues from their favorite sports teams. It just ends up being too much for them to keep up with, and then they tend to fail room inspection because they just can't maintain their room with all that stuff. Um, so please keep that in mind as you're thinking about what to send. It's really important that you send a sturdy laundry hamper. We do their laundry for them. Each hall has 1 day per week. Like my hall is Wednesdays. It needs to be a hamper that they can easily carry to the laundry room, and it needs to be a hamper that they can easily get their clothes back to, and they'll be folded in their hamper back to their room. I would recommend against a laundry basket. Laundry baskets tend to kind of float around rooms and there isn't an easy place to store laundry baskets. I would bring a hamper. I think that's really all I have on the room. Are there any specific questions about the room, what to bring, what not to bring? That tends to bring questions.
Yes, Yasmin?
What about a laundry bag?
Yeah, absolutely a laundry bag. That's totally fine. Some boys hang their laundry bag on the back of their door. That way it's off the floor, which anything they can hang is great, because if they can't hang it, it tends to find its way to the floor. The laundry bag is totally fine.
And one other question. I bought a plastic bin to slide under the bed so he can keep his like paper towels, extra sheets or whatever. Is that okay? Just so he can slide it on one side of the bed underneath?
Yes, absolutely. So it's worth noting that beds are bunk beds. So your son will either be on a top or a bottom bunk. It's usually first come, first serve. Some boys have heartache about being on the top, so we have to work through it. Sometimes there's a sharing agreement where they switch top and bottom beds every month or every semester or something like that. There is room under the bed, Ms. Reed, to store items. There's also room on top of the wall lockers to store items. I would highly recommend that you bring clear plastic bins, and they shouldn't be too tall. 3 or 4 inches tall might be fine to store those items.
Thank you.
It's also worth noting that they really don't need that many cleaning supplies. Each hall has a cleaning supplies closet with um, with basically all-purpose cleaner and Windex and paper towels. There are brooms, there are mops, there are everything there. If your boy is particular and wants a certain product, that's totally fine. But you don't have to send him every cleaning product that exists. And in fact, I would advise against sending things like Glade plugins or Febreze. Do not send spray Febreze. All that tends to do is mask the fact that they probably need to have their laundry done, and it tends not to be beneficial.
Are they supposed to do their own laundry, or is it going to be sent out sent out to wherever you guys send the laundry?
Another great question. So we do all the boys' laundry once a week, okay? And I'm going to get to dress code in a minute, and we'll kind of talk about that. But boys do have the option to do their own laundry. So some boys are very particular about their clothes, and they want to uh, iron their shirts when they get them, and they want to do their own laundry. We do have student laundry in dorms, but if they don't want to do it, we do their laundry for them.
A question, Rich, is can roommates decide to separate the beds and both have lower beds?
They cannot both have lower beds based on how the beds are constructed. It is possible to move the lower bed. However, for new boys, particularly new ninth and 10th graders, we don't allow them to move the bottom bed out from below the top bed until they as a room learn to keep a clean room. Without going into too much detail, when you start moving beds and desks around, it actually creates a lot of corners and right angles and places where trash can pile up. So we like to keep the rooms for the first few weeks in what we call standard, kind of standard configuration, so that they learn what's expected of them to keep a clean room, and then they can move their desks and they can move the bottom bed, but there are rules surrounding that. If they move their desk can't be situated such that if I or someone on duty or a teacher walks in their room, I have to be able to see what's on their computer right away. And that's really for study hall. We have monitored study hall. I need to be able to pop into every room. I shouldn't be able to walk in and see your son's face and the back of his computer. I should see the back of his head and his computer screen to make sure he's not playing Fortnite.
Is there dry cleaning service for dress pants and dress shirts and blazers?
Lasers. I'm not sure about lasers. Um, so I highly recommend you send clothes, particularly like khaki pants, that can be washed uh, in our laundry service. If your son has a suit that he wears and he wants to get that dry cleaned, we can send it out. We do it very rarely, and I believe we charge families for that. So, and I'm getting ready to move the dress code in a moment. We do not have on-site dry cleaning services. Very almost none. I think we sent out 2 or 3 things last year. Almost no boys use a dry cleaning service.
Typically, boys would bring things home for dry cleaning, like for Thanksgiving break or Christmas break. A lot of guys will get blazers dry cleaned maybe before graduation. So, yeah, the dry cleaning service, if they send them out, Miss Dickerson in maybe Mr. Meredith can talk a little bit about Miss Dickerson. She'll send them out, and then the dry cleaning fee will be put on your student account. So wrinkle free, the best option. There is a question, Rich, about an iron, and can they use an iron at any time? Is the iron in the laundry room? Do they have their own iron?
So we don't have an iron in the laundry room. We don't have an iron on the hall. Boys can bring irons. They're welcome to use irons. I usually do a little lesson on how to iron a shirt. To be honest, most I think I can count 2 boys, maybe 3 last year, who would have ironed their shirts. So wrinkle free tends to be best. I do see from Ms. Castillo dress pants and sport jackets. If a sport jacket needs to be cleaned, sometimes they can clean a sport jacket in the laundry room, but we do send the sport, like if he spills, ketchup all over a sport jacket, we do send those out to be cleaned periodically. For dress pants, I would recommend you buy dress pants that can go into the washing machine. Dockers, khakis, things like that. Okay, anything? So we kind of shifted over to laundry um, and and dress code, which I'll get to in a minute. Are there any other questions about the room or room configuration or things to bring for the room?
Yes, Jasmine, you had a question?
I did, but it was about the laundry, so I don't want to take up the time if you're not going to talk about laundry anymore.
Okay. A few other items on the room. I said I would not purchase a bean bag or a small couch or anything like that for a new student, just so they kind of learn how to take care of their room. If you are going to spend money to make your son comfortable, I would recommend you invest in a desk chair. So we do have, I didn't bring one with me. We do have plastic chairs that the boys can use for their desks. They are not the most comfortable. If your son is going to be studying in his room at night, meaning he's not going to go to structured study hall or the FLC, um, I would get a nice desk chair. It should not be huge because, again, space is finite. I try to get a smaller one, but I would get a nice desk chair. We do allow boys to store their desk chairs uh, in the dorms during the summer because we know that's kind of something that's hard to take home, especially if they're traveling a long distance. So we recognize that families end up spending a fairly significant amount on a chair, a desk chair, and we're happy to hold those. Okay, I'll move to dress code. I appreciate those who have read the student handbook. I'll just briefly review what to bring for the dress code. So for the academic day, we're in coat and tie dress. This is ingrained in our culture as a school. It's something that we're very proud of. So from the time they wake up and go to breakfast, the time they go to athletics, boys are to be in a button-down shirt, okay, not a polo. I know that it says to bring polos in the student parent handbook. That's for certain off-campus events where they're allowed to wear polos. A polo, like what I'm wearing now, is not part of coat and tie dress. So a button-down shirt, a tie, and it can be a necktie, or if he's feeling fancy, he can wear a bow tie. I wear a lot of bow ties, so he can wear a bow tie. Pants, dress pants, slacks, basically any pants that are not jeans, okay, or do not have cargo pants or cargo pockets, dress pants. I would, you must wear those. A belt, gotta have a belt on. Uh, Dark socks, and this is a challenging one for young boys. They want to wear their white athletic socks. They need to wear dark socks, and then dress shoes. Dress shoes are challenging for some boys. They don't want to wear them. Um, we have kind of a pretty wide range of acceptable shoes that we would consider dress shoes. Everything from what you and I maybe think of when we hear dress shoes, maybe something we'd wear to a religious function or in a business setting. We do allow boys to wear Sperry topsiders, docksiders, like a boat shoe. We also allow boys, as part of our coat and tie dress, to wear it's a shoe brand called Hey Dudes. If you've heard of Hey Dudes, um, as kind of a simple rule, really what they can't wear is they can't wear athletic shoes. You can't wear sneakers. You can't wear basketball shoes, even if they are black. Like you can't wear black Air Force Ones. And I wish I could wear my Air Force Ones, but I can't during the day. Um, they can't wear sandals. They can't wear clogs, like Birkenstock clogs. You have to have a heel. And they can't wear slippers. Now, there's a phenomenon of UGG, the maker, that makes shoes that look like dress shoes, but they're slippers. So again, a good rule is if it's fuzzy on the inside, it's not a dress shoe. Um, so that's a brief overview of the dress code. I can answer any questions about the dress code. If you're asking for advice, again, particularly for young boys, 9th and 10th graders, and if you haven't done the shopping yet, if you've already shopped, no big deal. Keep it simple. Plain white button-down shirts, blue button-down shirts, 3 ties, maybe 4 if they're fancy. Ties that match both a blue shirt and a white shirt. You get some boys and they're wearing pastels with plaid and it looks crazy. Okay.
But if you want to be expressive, because I will mix patterns, so if they want to be expressive and they can do that, they can express themselves. It's just a shirt and tie and blazer.
My military school background is showing.
Miss Yasmin, you had a question?
I'm sorry, I have a lot of questions, but for the ties, my son does not know how to tie a tie. So can he bring like a clip on, or do you all teach him how to tie the tie? Or
What grade is your son in? Is he in 9th grade?
yeah, he's going to ninth.
Okay, well then he will be attending starting on, unless he's coming early for soccer or football. He's going to attend our new student orientation for 9th and 10th graders, and we do teach them how to tie ties. We're going to spend like an hour and a half just on the dress code. So he will learn how to tie a tie. I can guarantee it. If you haven't bought him yet, I'd recommend against it so he learns how. Some boys, though, they wear clip-ons. You might buy him one clip-on in case he's running late, but if he has a clip-on, he's probably going to keep using that one and not learn how to tie tie.
Right.
We do teach them.
Okay. One other question for the labels for the clothes. Does anybody have any recommendations or great recommendations on the iron-on or the stamp or whatever? Because I'm having a hard time right now trying to figure out how I'm going to get his clothes labeled.
Mabel's Labels.
Mabel's labels. Okay.
It's a company and they have all kinds of labels, tags, different sizes.
Okay.
I used them for camp when he was in preschool. And they have iron-on plus because I tried the iron-on, it's a pain in the butt, but they also have some that stick to fabric.
Yeah,
And the Mabel's labels stay on? They stay on?
They've always stayed on for us,
Okay. Okay.
Another company is called Label Daddy, and I've used those for years for my kids. I always get them laminated, but they stay on very well. They're stickers.
Okay.
They stay on very well through the wash, etc. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I have on the tying. My son is going to be a rising junior as his first time. He's new, and I'm guessing he's not going to. His registration day is probably the main registration day, not 9th, 10th grader. So would he get instructions on how to tie the tie?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is the first year we're doing an orientation for new 9th and 10th graders. In the past, I've recommended that the families get a tie, YouTube clips, how to tie what's called a simple knot. There are a million ways to tie a tie. Simple knot is the easiest way to do it. Do a little practice before you get here, but absolutely your boy's hall parent will be available to show him how to tie a tie, or the prefect or proctor will show him how to tie a tie, or his advisor will show him how to tie a tie. First week, it's everybody's helping each other, put it that way. So he will not be alone, even as a new 11th grader.
And I can show you how to tie a tie there, so it's fine. Um, we do have like a couple of returning parents here. So Matthew James's parents are on, and Christian Hernandez's mom is on. So like Matthew James's mom said, he's learned to tie a tie, and his grandpa was pretty impressed. So it's a skill that they'll learn, and they'll learn different knots as well.
Can't wait to see Matthew back on campus next week. Okay. Dress code.
Yeah, next week.
Eventually? Yeah.
He's just getting a lecture from his dad about football right now, so I'm going to go outside.
Yeah. Okay. A few of the dress code items just while I'm here. And again, these are things that perhaps if you're going to have this conversation with your son before he comes, just so he understands what the expectations are. And we go over all this. Hoodies. We do not allow hoodies during the academic day. If it's cold out, that's what our blue blazers are for, sport jackets are for. He can wear a sweater, okay, if he's cold underneath his jacket. He still has to wear a button down tie, but he can wear a sweater.
There's nobody wear that.
And we do allow boys to wear pullovers, like zip pullovers. We sell Blue Ridge School gray pullovers with an insignia. I think that insignia is maybe 3 or 4 inches in diameter. So they can wear that or any other pullover so long as the insignia isn't larger than the Blue Ridge insignia. So boys will wear pullovers for their preferred college or their preferred team. Again, as we get into colder months, we do have rules surrounding hoodies. We don't allow hats or beanies. And the big one's really shoes. Just really make sure he's got the proper dress shoes and shirt to put on. Anything else on dress or dress code?
So you mean the pullovers are for under a jacket?
Yeah, so I would say deep in winter, January, February, March, it can be pretty chilly. And they're certainly allowed to wear like a jacket over their blue blazer if it's snowing out and they're walking to breakfast. But sometimes boys will be chilly and they want to wear more than just their blue blazer and their button down and their tie to class. They're allowed to wear underneath their jacket a sweater or like a I don't know I call them just a 3/4 zip pullover.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? Sorry, you've mentioned blue blazer a couple of times. Is the blazer requirement blue?
Sorry, it does not have,
it is required.
it does not have to be blue. It's a sport jacket. Most boys wear blue or black, but last year we had a boy who wore a pink sport jacket.
Every Monday he wore pink to start his week. The only time that it is specific, like blue blazer, khaki pants, white shirt, is graduation. So I think that it's blue or black and khakis are really easy for boys to match up, but they can be as expressive as they want to with that. Charlotte?
Hi, thank you. I have a question. This dress code is during the academic day. After the academic day is over, I'm assuming that they can wear sweats to the gym. They can wear a hoodie to the gym. They can wear, okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, so yes, that's a great question. So there are 3 types of dress, and this is in the student parent handbook, so feel free to read it when you do get a copy of it. During the academic day, it's coat and tie. Then there's what's called acceptable dress. That's for certain times when they're off campus, community service, things like that, where they can wear polos and shorts. And then when the academic day is finished, or when athletics is finished, they can wear casual dress, which really is anything, t-shirt, shorts, sandals, so long as they're not wearing anything that is offensive or associated with a substance that they're not allowed to use. Like they can't wear a Budweiser T-shirt or a Zinn T-shirt or anything that has to do with tobacco or no marijuana leaves or anything like that.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes.
Yes. So being that it's hot out right now, can they wear shorts, the short sleeve button-up shirts underneath their blazers, or does it have to be the long sleeve?
It doesn't have to be long sleeve. We do have some boys who wear short sleeve with their sport coats. You know, it's up to you. He's not gonna need them for very long. It's gonna
Right.
cool off pretty quickly. I'd say on average, I see 5 or fewer boys wearing short sleeve button downs.
Okay. And can they wear jeans? Can you bring jeans for the off, not when they're in class, but the other, I can't remember what it's called, but when they're off campus or in the evening or,
That's right. Yeah. So for weekend trips, boys can sign up to go to Target or go to the movies, or we have stuff going on all the time. Jeans are certainly appropriate. After the academic day, jeans are fine.
okay, thank you.
Yes. All right. This may sound silly, but it's really important. I'm going to take a minute on this. Um, we we have very few thefts per year. 185 boys. They do occur. We do our best to prevent them and solve those issues when they arise. But by and large, the greatest number of what you could call thefts, because it is taking someone's things, center around snacks. Okay, food, snacks. Um, and most of it really is a function of miscommunication between, oh, I thought I could have your snacks, or you told this guy he could have some snacks, so I thought I could have some of your snacks, or et cetera, et cetera. Um, you, it's really worth noting that given students' proximity to the school or given available money, some boys will have a lot of snacks. And it's also worth noting that some boys, again, given distance from home or given available money, will have no snacks. If you are going to send snacks with your son, I ask that you send not very many snacks. He will have the ability to go to Target or Walmart once a week, either on the bus when we do the trip, or his advisor or hall parent will do a trip every now and then. So you don't need to send like a convenience store worth of snacks. Okay. So I would recommend that you keep the number of snacks low. Uh, I also ask, and this is just me, try to limit the sugar. A lot of these boys will come back from dinner and they'll go to study hall and they start pounding sugar and their brains just light up. Um, that's a bit of a side note. But I ask that you have like truly sit down and have an explicit conversation with your son about what your expectations are surrounding snacks. If you're the one who's going to purchase the snacks for him, do you want him to be able to share the snacks with his friends? Do you want them just to be for him? I bring it up because I spent significant amount of time last year figuring out problems surrounding snacks. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there, something to consider. If you do have snacks for your son, um, please send a plastic container so the snacks can go in that container. Otherwise, the snacks kind of just go all over the room. Any issues or questions on snacks?
I would just add to what Rich is saying about snacks is I think in the beginning when you're new, everyone, and it just depends on like a student's personality. They may be like, hey, everyone can have a snack because they're trying to make friends. And then it's like, okay, now I've narrowed down. These are like my 2 closest friends that can have snacks. And then it doesn't get communicated later. And so It's like, oh, the first day you said I could help myself to snacks, and now you're not saying anything. And so just the communication piece. I'm a snacker, so yeah, I'm all about the snacks. So just talk to your kids. The
And
question, where do they get water from for their water bottles?
we have water fountains and large water bottles throughout campus. There are multiple water fountains in dorms, and then in academic buildings. The water's great here. While I'm on food, um, I I ask you all to, the best you can, refrain from supporting your son's desire, particularly on the weeknights, ordering DoorDash or Uber Eats. Two things. One, it's incredibly expensive. Okay, we live 30 minutes from a fast food restaurant or wherever they're going to order from. So, if he orders a Popeyes sandwich, it's going to cost $35 to $40. Okay, so we advise against it. He may say, "Oh, well, I don't like the cafeteria food. I eat 2 to 3 meals a day in the cafeteria. Is cafeteria food as tasty as Popeyes? No, but it is nutritious, and he will have sufficient options. If he has particular dietary issues or concerns, we certainly are available to help address those with him. Um, but when it comes to ordering food, particularly on the weekends, it's one thing to order pizza on a Friday night with friends, but last year we would see a group of boys order DoorDash like every other night, and it's not only unhealthy but very expensive.
And I think that the timing when they order that is usually like study hall, so then it becomes a bit disruptive. Um, I hate DoorDash for the boys, and not that you want to know that, but yeah, I know that a lot of you, it's just not sustainable. We will have food trucks some nights after study hall, so that's an option. If you want to see the menu, you can always look on the dining hall page, and every week the student menu, the lunch, the all of the menu, the meals are on the menu on the stage dining hall page. So your son can look at that. You can look at that as well. um, I, I I love the fact that when you call someone out, like, oh, but didn't they have hamburgers? So why would you order a hamburger? Um,
I see.
Only button-down dress shirts are allowed.
For the academic day, Jill, so for coat and tie dress during school, yes, button down shirts. Like a polo is not part of the coat and tie dress. He could wear a polo, like if he's on the community service team and they're delivering Meals on Wheels to folks in Greene County, he can wear a polo. But for class, it's button downs. I see Pam has her hand up.
Yes.
But it has to have the actual button. It can't be just a collared dress shirt.
So I was going to ask you because I'm like on the fashion side because that's who I am. A button down or button up, because a button up is just like a collared shirt, a dress shirt, but it doesn't have the buttons. Are you cool with that, Rich? A button down is like the buttons to
Like
tie.
an Oxford style
You're
shirt.
talking about button on the collar. Is this right here?
Yeah, so a button down is like buttons on the collar, and a button up is just a collared shirt. It's a dress shirt. It just doesn't have
Oh,
a button.
yeah,
So
that's fine. They
button
don't
down
have to be
and
buttons
up
on the
is
collars.
fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Because I
I thought you were asking that. I'm like, yay for the fashion question.
thank
Um, can my son have protein shakes in the dorms?
Yes, absolutely. Again, I'll go back to the fact that rooms are 180 square feet. He shares that space. I would advise against a pallet of pre-made shakes. I'm always a fan of the powders and shaker bottles because they take up less space. But yes, he is allowed to have protein shakes, but please keep space in mind.
What do they wear to dinner?
Or if it's powder
Yeah.
and water.
Dinner is we have we have very few formal dinners throughout the year. Dinner tends to be casual. Boys can wear what they like at dinner.
It can't be cut off, so it has to be sleeves. It should be like a t-shirt or something. So look
Right.
respectable. Will there be community service opportunities, even if they aren't doing community service as a sport?
Yes, absolutely. There are a number of community service opportunities throughout the year to include the ropes, the rite of passage. Um, uh, what we do, it's a week-long program. You'll hear, I'm sure, more about that. But yes, there are community service opportunities throughout the year.
And the
I,
community
I think
service sport they will organize some community service as well for like the whole school.
I think I saw Pam had her hand up. Pam, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the food there is ample. My son was there last year, and I live, 30 minutes away, so I get to go there. I was able to go to lunch multiple times, and they have delicious food and so much of it that it's should be heaven for teenage boys, so if they're complaining, Christian was complaining about it, and I went to lunch with him, and I told him I don't ever want to hear it again out of him because it was, so for those of you that are really far away and can't go to meals, to be able to go to lunch there or dinner, the food is, I found it to be quite delicious, and they have multiple options for pretty much any kind of diet stuff. So just wanted to affirm that that's the truth. And DoorDash should certainly not be a necessity for anyone, in my opinion.
Thanks, Pam. That's really helpful. Okay.
Charlotte, is there anyone here from New York? I think that you're the only New Yorker right now, but I'll try and I think that I'll have another New Yorker, so I'll connect you.
Where in the city? Which borough?
We're in the Bronx in Riverdale.
Great.
I'm trying to figure out getting there and driving. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to hit on a hot topic, and
I'm sorry. Can we just revisit that? I didn't quite understand the button down shirt versus button up shirt.
yeah,
What does that mean?
yeah, sorry, without trying to confuse anybody, what I'm saying is you can't wear this shirt. So as long as it buttons at the collar and it buttons all the way down and they tuck it in, that's fine. A button down shirt has buttons on the collar, and a button up shirt is like a regular dress shirt that doesn't have buttons on the collar. Either of those are fine, so long as the buttons are going all the way down the shirt and there's
Got
a
it. Okay.
that you can button. That's an acceptable shirt.
Okay. Thank you.
What happened is, to be frank, is last year a boy showed up with 5 polo shirts, and they thought that was a dress shirt. So I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, here we go. Video games, hot topic. We allow boys at the beginning of the year to register 2 devices to our network. Those devices should be their cell phone and a computer. Later on in the year, we allow them to register a 3rd device. For most of them, that 3rd device tends to be a gaming console. We do allow gaming consoles in rooms, and the decision to send or not send a gaming console is a decision that should be made between parents and son. If anyone has a particular concern about games, I'm happy to field it. I'm hesitant to give advice because I know that every situation is different. I know that, as an example, last year there was a young man who played a game with his dad at night, and so it's a way for them to bond. And so I don't want to step on any toes. But I will say that by and large, if your son is a gamer and it concerns you that he's going to maybe game too much, either because he won't be able to resist trying to turn it on during study hall time, or you're worried he will seclude himself in his room and will not meet new people or enjoy this beautiful 750-acre campus that we have. My recommendation is to, at least for the beginning of the year, because he won't be able to register it anyway, refrain from sending that gaming system. And maybe it's something that he can earn over time with grades or whatever you all decide. But there are typically questions that come up about video games. I'm happy to answer them if they come. Um, if you send the Xbox and then his grades start to dip, Residence Life, we do not take away their consoles. I'll have a mom call me and say, "Hey, my son failed his math test. Will you take away his Xbox, and then when his grades improve, can you give it back to him?" We don't do that simply because, one, I don't want to assume responsibility for that expensive system, and two, I'd be managing gaming systems constantly. On a couple times, I have worked with an advisor, and if you don't know the difference between an advisor and a hall parent, just raise your hand and I can take a minute and explain that. Where an advisor will work with a family if a young man is having a particularly difficult time pulling himself away from a gaming system, and the advisor will hold on to the gaming system for the family, for the parents, and then give it back at a different time. Um, and that's totally fine. But within kind of the res life, within my team, hall parents do not manage or take away gaming systems. That's a decision between families. Uh, if your son is on my hall on Middle West and I see that the gaming system is a problem, I typically will be proactive and reach out to you and say, "Hey, we got to solve this. We have an issue here," and that happens, I don't know, 3 or 4 times per year. Are there any video game
Charlotte? I'd
questions?
like Charlotte and then Yasmin. Charlotte? Mhm.
So yeah, this is at the very top of my list of concerns. My son Demar, he plays games, but not on a console. He plays with a laptop.
Mhm.
So he has a whole like laptop setup, whatever, that he uses. And he and I have been talking about this because my recommendation to him was like, you know what, why don't we not bring your whole setup at first so you can get acclimated and da 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 da. And his response, was like, Mama, they turn off Wi-Fi at a certain time. And I wanted to hear about that a little bit and see if that's accurate. But it sounds to me also like I can tell him, well, you can't actually register it until later anyway. So it's both. So I just wanted to hear a little. So yeah,
Sure, Charlotte. So just so I'm clear, does he have a laptop for school and then a dedicated gaming
yeah,
PC?
yes, he does.
Okay, so he will not be able to register the gaming PC until later in the year. And
Okay,
and and
great.
our IT director will make that determination, it'll probably be in late October, November. Um, I'm glad you're having that discussion with him. I think your approach is probably correct. Get settled, meet friends. It's possible he won't want to play it once he gets here and realizes how much fun he's having outside.
Right,
Um,
exactly. I'm hoping.
uh, but the reason why we allow Xboxes and PlayStations is because these days desktop PCs are just as powerful, and they're really one and the same. So yes, we do turn off the Wi-Fi. So lights out is at 10:45 each night. I think the Wi-Fi cuts off at 11 or 11:30.
11.
11. And then on the weekends, it cuts off a little later. We do use um, access to Wi-Fi on the weekends. Sometimes as a punitive measure for, as an example, not turning in their cell phone on time. We'll say, well, you can't have access to Wi-Fi on Friday nights. So we do use that as something of a punitive manner, but they do not have constant access to Wi-Fi 24 hours a day, and there's no cell service here.
Awesome. Love that.
I will just say it's 6:36, so I know that we said we would stick to an hour. So if you have to go, we'll distribute the recording, but Rich and I will stay. I know Yasmin, you had a question.
One item before, if people start popping off, uh, it's funny, we didn't realize this until last year, because last year's the first year we started collecting their cell phones during the day. None of these boys wear watches, okay, because they're used to seeing the time on their phone, but they're going to turn in their phones. So they need just a little simple wristwatch. Okay, nothing special, but so much of what goes on here is being on time and in the right location. It's very difficult when they don't have a watch. We do have clocks posted throughout the school, but you would I'm checking the time now on my phone. They won't have that luxury. So a little watch is highly recommended. And then I think someone noted a water bottle. Send a water bottle just so they stay hydrated.
The other thing I would say, which we should have put on the thing, is like their phone cases, because they will put their phones in a slot. So if their phone case is labeled, because everyone has like a black case, or so it's just like, oh yeah, the black one. Like, if you have a clear case and it has this name on it or something that represents them. So just having a phone case that's distinguishable and not just black.
With my son has a iWatch, so that they could text on that. I've seen him do that, right? So during the academic hour, do you take the iWatch as well, or just the phone?
Yeah, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, so the phone, I wish I had one with me. We keep them in these little lockers, and they're collected by hall, and we lock them in a cabinet in my office, so they will not be close to their phone. But I think in order to text on his iWatch, wouldn't he need Wi-Fi access?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that will not be registered to the internet, so he will not be able to text on that phone.
Uh,
He can use it to tell time,
hmm.
but he won't be able to access the internet because it won't
No,
be a registered device.
we actually we pay for a service that he can make calls on that, so we just need to stop that service. Yeah.
And
Okay.
is that service voice over how does he access that service? Is it a cellular network?
It's a cellular network,
We
so
have
it's
There's no cellular service here.
oh, okay. Well, we should we should cancel it anyway. Then we're paying for not being able.
There's
Yep.
very weak cell service. Like I have Verizon, and I can't make any calls
Okay. Yeah,
over
that's
my cellular network here.
yeah. Another question is my son is also a gamer, and he would game on his phone and laptop as well. Have you had? I mean, he's got a PC set up, but have you had any instances like the kids would just stay up and play on their computer, on their laptop?
And so in order to stay up, they would have to play on a game that does not require an internet connection, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
So we had less than a handful, I'd say 2 or 3 boys last year who, even on like a Dell, laptop, not a specialty laptop, not a
Yep.
gaming console, who would stay up, and either they've downloaded movies on their computer and they're watching movies at night, or they're playing games. We do have a night watchman who is on duty, and he goes around, and if he's very good at seeing if there are any lights on, to include from a computer. If that happens a couple times, we will take a laptop at night, and that's part of that gets to be a more drawn out discussion. That happens very infrequently. If that is a real concern, I would recommend you start that conversation with his advisor sooner rather than later, so that they know that he has a potential issue with turning the computer off at night.
Yeah, yeah, he would. Okay, so I would. He would just do it under the cover, under the blankets. You won't see the light.
Yeah, it's unfortunately we can't if it's not connected to the internet. Um, if a boy really wants to turn on the device, he's going to be able to turn it on. It's just what he's going to be able to do with it, and that just is a conversation with his hall parent and with his advisor, and he's not alone. He's not alone.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I am glad that you guys would take the computer
If
away.
if you know he's going to get under his covers and turn on his at 11 o'clock, open his laptop, I'd reach out to his advisor, or when the advisor sends the first contact information, and see if there's a way to take the laptop at night. We have done that with boys who, dare I say, have an addiction to technology.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks.
If there's not cell service, should we bother getting them a US cell number?
Can you speak to that, Angela?
Oh, well, I would say that you can still get him a US cell number if he's off campus and, like on a trip and doesn't have like Wi-Fi. Some boys go the whole time with keeping just their international number, and they just go on the hope of having Wi-Fi, like when they go to Target or to Walmart, or just being with somebody who does. Um, it's kind of, we haven't required that they have a USSL number, but it can be helpful.
Any other questions, issues, concerns? Any
I had one.
anxiety? Go ahead.
I had one question about the gaming. Wouldn't they have to have a TV in order to hook up their PlayStation? Or I'm not want to. I don't want to send my son with one, but I'm just trying to figure out how that would work if all the boys want to register to bring their gaming system, and they all have to have a separate TV to play it. Wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would, like the boys who have that would bring a monitor.
Oh, a monitor. Okay.
How many boys would normally bring their PC setup or gaming setup in addition to their laptop and phone? Out of
Most boys, if they play a game, they will play a game on their laptop that they use for school. Like the popular game is Fortnite. Okay, so they can play Fortnite on a regular laptop. I would say 15 to 20% also have a gaming system or a gaming PC. I would strongly recommend against a gaming PC because they're so big and the rooms are pretty small. Like the desks, that gaming PC is going to take up so much space. Um, but I would say it approaches 15 to 20%. And then throughout the year, that number decreases because boys' grades drop and their parents take them away.
Okay. It's just hard. I mean, if he sees other people, we wouldn't want to send it. We absolutely do not want to send it. But if he sees other kids have it, then, it's a battle.
Yeah.
But he'll be here without it, and so you won't bring it, and so he just won't have it, and he'll just be upset, and he'll move on, and he'll get over it, and it'll be fine because he can make friends with someone else who has theirs, and he can go and play with them. Sometimes there are certain things that I'm just a little stern about.
Well,
Make
me,
somebody else who has one, and it's okay.
right, right. Me too. But yeah, he'll start. I mean, he'll get nasty.
I'm not
Okay.
having conversations with you being nasty. Okay, we love you. Have fun.
Okay.
Um,
I
the
spend a lot of time having nasty conversations with angry 9th and 10th grade boys whose parents won't let them have their gaming system. And it's interesting, I'd say, not most of them, but a significant number of them, after a little while, say, I'm glad I don't have it. They also say they're glad we take their cell phones during the day.
Yeah.
Well, I hope our son is like that. Yep. Then if we have the school support, then we'll put down our foot and just no PC.
Good.
Um, the question is additional to the hall parent, their advisors. Can you explain how these groups are formed or chosen? Tomorrow in the academic session, the associate principal will be on, and advisors kind of falls under the academic side and under Miss Wilkins' purview. So we can talk about that tomorrow. I'll just say that just a brief answer is um, the associate principal the associate head of school will look at all the student files, and then we try and pair the students up with an advisor that has similar interests, looking at the advisory groups, what students are in that group, and just trying to match up boys that would have like a common connection or that can learn from one another. So the groups are mixed in terms of the grade levels as well as returning and new students. So it will be a group there. Are there
Any
any?
items? Okay, one final thought I want to leave you all with, and I'm doing this purposefully. For new boys in particular, and of course, juniors are not grown men, okay, and even I guess grown men can get homesick too. So I won't leave them out. But ninth and 10th grade boys, no matter what they tell you, they we see homesickness. It does happen, and it tends to happen either the first week, okay, or, and that's really just a few last year. When I saw the most homesickness for my ninth and 10th grade boys last year, it was actually at the end of September to the middle of October. And that's because they've gotten here, the excitement of being in a new place is kind of worn off, and they're just at school. And they're talking with their friends from back home, and they're missing football games or they're missing whatever. Just know that we stay highly attuned in residence life to homesickness, and we really work with boys who are having a difficult time. I work very closely with Cameron McDonald, who is our school counselor, who's an excellent resource. I think all I ask as parents is two things. One, if you recognize your son is experiencing homesickness, let me or let your son's hall parent know, just so we know uh, that you've heard it. And then two, and this may sound counterintuitive, give your son a little space. Okay? Give him some time to make friends and get acclimated, and give him some time. Um, all instances of homesickness, we were able to work through everything last year. But just know that it does happen. It's also worth noting that homesickness can reveal itself in a number of ways. Um, Certainly being sad and feeling a bit down is one. But another that really shows itself would be roommate conflicts. Okay, these boys are coming to, like I said, a new location. They're going to share 180 square feet with another boy. That other boy may be completely different from him. We do our best actually to pair them with who we think will be great roommates. But look, no matter who you live with, conflicts are going to exist. Dorms are, above all else, an opportunity for your boy to engage in improving his communication and conflict resolution skills. If your son is having roommate problems, it is our job as hall parents to work through roommate problems. We do not change roommates immediately. Okay? If there's a roommate conflict, we have a process by which there's counseling. All boys create what's called a roommate agreement. They basically decide how they're going to live together, what responsibilities they're going to share, and they sign it. It's a contractual obligation. And as a hall parent, if I'm counseling two boys about a dispute, he's not taking out the trash, he's too loud, he's too messy, whatever, I go to the contract. We talk it through, and we create an action plan. So if your son calls you very upset in October and says, I need a roommate change, I'm happy to hear about it, but just know that we typically don't change roommates right away. We work through those problems, and 95% we're able to resolve those conflicts. And actually, it's a growing opportunity for him, and it's kind of part of the communal living environment. Are there any questions associated with that?
Um, there is a question, what is the policy plan recommendation on reaching out home to home? Just
We really don't have a policy. Boys are so connected throughout the day, they can email you anytime on their computers in class. In fact, many boys figure out how to use a text function on their computers, to be honest with you. So they can text.
Just from like my years of like boarding school life, like what I always say is, come up with a plan to say this is our set appointment time. So every Sunday at 6, or every Tuesday and Thursday, like figure out a time where you've scheduled and say this is our appointment. We're going to meet at this time every week, no matter what. So for you, you know that you can reach him at this time because he scheduled that appointment. For him, he knows this is the time he has to show up. It can't be I'm good, I'm this. It has to be real answers, like a full sentence, not like a grunt. And then for him, he's able to like be engaged and be involved and not worry about getting his phone back and seeing like 8 text messages from like his mom, like, hey, where are you? What are you doing? And then for you, like, hey, I know that I'm going to talk to him at this time, this day, every week. So this is our standing meeting. This is what we're going to do. Because what is going to happen is, like Rich said, like there's going to be maybe homesickness in the beginning, and there's going to be wanting to communicate the first couple of weeks. But after that, usually boys are really engaged and they're doing their own thing. And then you guys will be the people calling the advisor, the hall parents, me. I can't reach him. Where is he? If you can't reach him, that means he's doing stuff. He's active. He's engaged. He's doing the things that you wanted him to do. Matthew James's mom is holding her head down because she knows it's the truth, and she is a person that I had to talk to. She's a returner.
Never did it in my life. Never called you.
um, so, set the time, set the appointment. So it's like, okay, this is the scheduled time that we're going to call. I have a girlfriend, and she did that all through until her mom passed away. 6 o'clock on Sunday, everyone knew she's talking to her mom, and that's just kind of what it is. It
Yeah.
will bring some relief to both you and your son.
Yeah, for most boys, it's Sunday nights. I know we do have some folks here from overseas, from Europe. Given the timing, we do help to accommodate those. So, as an example, um, Lambo from Germany last year, Angela, he had a set time where he would speak with his parents at lunch once a week. So I would allow him to come get his cell phone during lunch, and he would go in the room next door, next to my office, and he would check in with his parents because that's, their evening. So we do work to support those international calls.
And Wi-Fi will come on usually about 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So like I told some boys, like, hey, if your parents are really that important to you, you'll wake up early to call them. Some people were still sleeping. I do want to introduce, just before we go, Whitney Allen is on the call, and Whitney is our new director of parent relations. So you will hear a lot from Whitney with weekly newsletter updates, and she will be a good point of contact as well. So Whitney is there, and we will. Do you want to say anything, Whitney? Oh, we can't hear you though. The volume on your laptop isn't, or your phone. So I think that we'll hear Whitney tomorrow. Sorry, dear. But you'll hear from Whitney every week at least. There's a parent newsletter that goes out every week, as well as their weekly communications that are coming 1 week from the advisor, 1 week from the hall parent, 1 week from the sports coach. So every week you will hear from the school, typically multiple times. So we know that your son is your most valuable possession. So we don't want you to feel that you sent him and then you have no idea what's going on. You will hear from the school. Okay. With that, if there are no more questions, I thank you for hanging in there with us. We know that we've gone over on the time. Hopefully, you feel good about Res Life in dorms. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the same time, same link, 5:30 Eastern Daytime, and we'll be talking about academics and scheduling. So if you have questions that you want to prepare ahead of time, please feel free to do that. Have a good night, a good evening, a good morning, and thank you so much. Oh, remind your sons, and we'll work on this. Everyone is going to be addressed as Mr. or Miss. Although we love them so much, like I'm not your colleague, so you don't need to call me Angela. I'll answer to anything that has a miss in front of it. Rich is Mr. Meredith, so I just be mindful of that because I know culturally wise, some people have some different things. Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Charlotte, he will register at registration. They'll register, yeah. So she'll just bring like his computer. Well, actually, the IT guy said that they're going to register. He's going to set up a time to do registration. So at
Got it.
registration, he'll talk about when they will register, like their phone and their computer. And
Okay.
I
I
mean,
thought it was something that I read. I thought there was a form, and I don't. There was a lot of. There have been a lot
there
of
is
emails.
a there is a form that he needs to like read through to say he understands like the technology policy.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a form there, but then Mr. Peterson will register devices. We did it at registration last year, but it kind of was like a backlog, and we spent a lot of time talking about like, hey, you can only register 2 devices, and then some people are very adamant about, well, I have 3, and I'm like, you can still only register 2, but I have so yeah, I'm like, it doesn't really matter.
So now, yeah, I'm gonna have this conversation with Demad because again, we've been talking about the gaming setup. So now I'm like, well, you can only register 2. So there you go. You're gonna have to wait till October, November anyway, which I think is better because he'll be acclimated and
In
he's not gonna be
October,
happy, but it is what it is.
yeah. October will be a long weekend. So,
Right.
like if you chose to come home or maybe you came down for a game, October will typically be the time when we also look at like grades to say, hey, are kids moving out of supervised study hall? Can they study in their rooms? It's a good amount of time to get acclimated. Um, and yeah, you can only register 2 devices. Last year when I told kids that, I'm like, I mean, you make up your mind. Do you want to register a phone in your gaming and not have a computer? Hey, I mean, this is a first life choice.
Right. Exactly. Right. Right. Um, was one other thing you said. Okay, I'll ask him about that. And you said something that sparked the question, but it went out of my brain.
Course.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll be here again tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
All right. Bye bye.